He told me to introduce him as a short guy from South Carolina, our friend, Senator Lindsey Graham.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Hello. Thank you. I'm a loud voice. Good afternoon. How about a round of applause for our party chairman? And her claim to fame is that her son's a Marine. God bless her. Can you see me? Can you understand me? No? Well, it's not your fault. I talk funny. One thing about the New Hampshire Republican Party. Thank you for putting this on. How many of you have listened to every speaker? Wow. You deserve a Purple Heart. We should make everybody from Gitmo come up here and just keep listening and listening. The bottom line is New Hampshire is an antidote to big money. Does that make sense to you? Don't ever lose what you're doing. Don't let anybody buy the Republican primary. If it weren't for Iowa, New Hampshire, and South Carolina, you could. I do bar mitzvahs, birthday parties, weddings, funerals. Call me, I'll come. Okay. Kellyanne, she rocks. You've done the nation a great service. She's Ovid. How you doing, buddy? She's tough as nails. She's a Margaret Thatcher in the making. And I cannot tell you how impressed I am with Kelly in 4 years, what kind of a voice she's become in Washington on national security. She's a military mom. She is a strong, problem-solving conservative. And New Hampshire has done the country a great service, and make sure you keep her. She's the third amigo. John McCain, Joe Lieberman, Lindsey Graham. Well, so Joe retired. Kelly's taking his place. And I remember the first trip we took together, after Joe retired, we got off the plane, and one guy said, "Man, Joe looks great." All I can say is that thank you for sending Kelly. Thank you very much for being a vibrant Republican Party. How many people went to Politics and Pie? I was the first one. Right in front of the shoe. What do you call that place? Yeah, I was in a roaring fire. It was 350 degrees. I felt like the Salem witch trial. For an hour and 45 minutes, it was a ton of fun. Politics and eggs. All right, good stuff. You got tough chickens here. Those eggs were tough. What you need next is politics and Lipitor, because I've a pretty hardy crowd you got up here. Hillary Clinton couldn't be here today because we didn't ask her. And the reason she can't be here today is because you can ask questions. This listening tour is something out of North Korea. Would you like to meet the dear leader and ask him anything you would like? How did she get away with this? I don't know. If you want to meet her, you better be able to run 35 miles an hour. I'm going to talk about 3 things right quick and take some questions. My favorite subject, me. My bio. Who's been to South Carolina? Wow. Come back, spend money. So I was born in central South Carolina near Clemson University. My dad, yeah, go Tigers. My dad owned a liquor store, a bar, and a pool room. And everything I know about the Iranians, I learned in the pool room. He was a World War II vet, and my mom ran the restaurant bar, my dad ran the liquor store, and when I got old enough, I ran the pool room. We lived in the back in one room. Never lived in a house until I got in high school, but it was a loving place. My parents loved me a lot. My sister is 9 years younger. If you own your own business, you have to get up and go to work every day whether you feel like it or not, because if you don't open up, you don't get paid. I've seen my mom and dad go to work very sick, but that's what happens if you own your own business. When I was 21, my mom was diagnosed with Hodgkin's disease, and 6 months later she passed. She was 17 years younger than my dad. We always thought that she would be around. The only thing I can tell you about life is it just doesn't go by script, does it? The bills were tough. It wiped us out. We were underinsured. 15 months later, my dad dies. I'm at Carolina, the University of South Carolina, trying to get through school. Didn't quite make it before my mom passed. But my sister was 14, I was 22. We moved in with an aunt and uncle who worked in the textile plants in the adjoining county, and they never made over $25,000 in their life, but they helped me raise my sister. If it weren't for Social Security survivor benefits coming to my sister from my parents' contribution, we'd had a hard time paying the bills. If it weren't for college loans, she'd had a hard time going to school. All I can tell you is I don't need a lecture from a Democrat about health care. I just want it to be sustainable and not wipe us out and have the government make every decision for us. I want to save Social Security because I knew as a young man what it could do for you. I'm 59, I'm not married, I don't have any kids. If I need to give up some of my Social Security benefits to help somebody who needs it more than I do, I will. The one thing I've learned is that we're all one car wreck away from needing somebody's help. If it wasn't for my family, my friends, and my faith, I would not be standing here today. There may be a lot of self-made men and women in this country. I am not one of them. I was able to finish Carolina. I went to law school. Nobody's perfect. What's the difference between a lawyer and a catfish? One's a bottom-dwelling, scum-sucking creature, and the other's a fish. Can't take a joke. Don't run for president in New Hampshire. And certainly don't go into politics. The bottom line is I have been very lucky. What's happened to me has happened to a lot of people, and it made me who I am today. 33 years in the Air Force, 4.5 years in Germany from 1984 to 88. I've been a military judge, a prosecutor, and defense attorney. I served in Germany during the Cold War, and I've seen what good leadership is like. It's called Ronald Reagan. For the last 6 years, I've seen what bad leadership is like. It's called Barack Obama. At the end of the day, the next president of the United States better be a Republican. Because Hillary Clinton will not do the things that are going to be required, in my view. She is the third term of Barack Obama. She's the architect of his foreign policy. Bill and Hillary did a better job of selling Obamacare than he did. So if you're looking for something new, don't look to her. Look to the 35 people running for president on the Republican side. And just shoot up among us till you get one of us out of the tree. And whoever that person is, I'm going to be behind them. Two things. And I'll take questions right quick. Two things we got to get right. Anybody here born from 1946 to 64? You know what you're called? Baby, older, yeah. Yeah, I'll be 60 in July. You're called seniors. You're the baby boom. Anybody born after 1964? We want our money. We want our money. So 80 million of us are going to retire, and the rest of you are going to pay the bills. We've got a problem in America. Don't you think? You ready to solve it? You ready to have a president who will challenge you to do things that we need to do as a nation? You ready to do like Ronald Reagan, Tip O'Neill, save Social Security? Young people, you ready to work a little bit longer because you're going to have to? Just say yes because you're going to have to. To those in my income level, I make $175,000 a year as a member of the Senate. I'm not saying I'm worth it, but that's what I make. Means testing. Should my COLA increase be the same as my aunt and uncle's? No. Because we can't afford to give me the same cost of living increase as somebody on a fixed income making $20,000 to $25,000 because we don't have enough money. I'd gladly give up some of my COLA to help people who need it more than I do. If you make $200,000 a year in retirement, The government pays you a $109 a month subsidy to pay your prescription drug premium on their Medicare Part D. If I were President of the United States, you know what I'd say? Pay it yourself. Because we're borrowing it from your grandkids, and you know what you would say? I'd be glad to. The war on terror. How much time I got left? Okay, war on terror. You know how it ends? We win, they lose. That's how it ends. We're going to beat these bastards, and they're never coming here again. And I've never been more worried than I am right now about them coming here again. And if we don't do something, they're coming here again. I've never seen more groups with more capability, with more weapons, with more safe haven, with more money to attack us than any time since 9/11. Barack Obama's foreign policy is a miserable failure. Radical Islam is on the rise. Those who want to hurt our country are stronger than ever, and our friends like Israel are afraid. And somebody needs to change it, and they need to change it quick. So when you elect somebody in 2016, I hope you'll vote for a commander-in-chief that knows what the hell they're doing. You know how you defeat radical Islam? You go over there and you fight them so they don't come here. Some of us are going to have to go back. If you know how to defend this nation without some American soldiers deployed overseas to deal with the radical Islamic terrorist threat, give me a call, because I'm dying to know how you could do that. We need to be over there helping people in the region that would live in peace with us, fight these guys before they get strong enough to hit us here again. And if we don't, 9/11 is coming again. How many of you believe the only reason 3,000 died on 9/11 and not 3 million is because they couldn't get the weapons to kill 3 million of us? Do you believe if they had those weapons, they would use them? Well, don't you think that's a big deal in this next election? Did you hear Kelly out? She's right about Iran. I told us, well, the nuke's a bad deal for you. I wouldn't let John Kerry buy me a car, much less negotiate with the Iranians. Barack Obama's never run a lemonade stand, and his worldview is inconsistent with America's role in the world. On September the 10th, 2001, the day before 9/11, we didn't have one soldier in Afghanistan. We didn't have one penny of foreign aid going to Afghanistan. We didn't even have an embassy in Afghanistan. They attacked us anyway. To the people who've taken this stage and telling you just leave them alone, stay away from those people, don't get involved, well, that won't work because they're not going to leave you alone. How many of you believe this is a religious war? You could close Gitmo tomorrow and it wouldn't matter. You could throw Israel under the bus even more than Obama's doing and it wouldn't matter. They don't want one thing. They want your way of life. The Nazis wanted a master race. These people wanted a master religion. And they're trying to purify their own religion and destroy yours. If you're any Catholics here? Woo, I love the Pope. Any Presbyterians? You're predestined to be here. We're glad to have you. Any Baptist? Yay, I didn't think there'd be anybody. We laugh about our religious differences. They don't. They're religious fanatics. They're a minority within their religion. But like the Nazis, somebody better stand up to them. When Hitler said he wanted to kill all the Jews, nobody believed him. When they say they want to kill us, I believe them. But I'm not going to let that happen. If I become a candidate for president, the central theme of my candidacy would be to protect this nation. Go to bed every night, wake up every morning trying to figure out how to protect this nation. And do the things that should have been done a long time ago that are hard. The budget cuts that we've enacted in Congress are insane. We're having the smallest army by the end of this decade since 1940, the smallest Navy since 1915, the smallest Marine Corps in modern history at a time when we need them all the most. Kelly Ayotte, myself, and others are going to try to set aside these budget cuts so we can rebuild our military to make sure that we have the capability to defend this nation. %, have been taking care of the 99%, not the rich people, the ones wearing the uniform, the FBI, the CIA. If I got to be President of the United States, I would try to be a commander-in-chief worthy of their sacrifice. Thank you very much.
Senator.
Mr. Ambassador.
Ambassador Sladen here. It's great to see you back. We love you, sir. We love you.
Well, I love me. We got something in common. We're off to a good start here in New Hampshire.
Tell us a little bit,
I
Senator.
loved me before y'all did.
Tell us a little bit about your path to the nomination. A lot of great folks. We've heard a lot of great speeches. Tell us a little bit about your path to the nomination here in New Hampshire and Iowa and places not called South Carolina.
Okay.
Thanks for coming.
Are you listening? I got to get more votes than the other people. So, how did Obama win New Hampshire twice? Well, we're going to figure that out. My path to the nomination is pretty simple. Message, means, and momentum. I've got to exceed expectations in Iowa. Iowa is like South Carolina, but flat. New Hampshire is just kind of cool. I hung out here with John McCain, kind of a cool place. I've got to finish in the top tier in New Hampshire. Then I'll win South Carolina. If I didn't think I couldn't win my own state, I wouldn't be talking to you today. Then I will have momentum. By the end of the day, after South Carolina, 3 to 4 of us will be standing. Most will be weeded out. If I'm in the top 3 or 4, then I'll have a very good chance of winning the nomination. But it doesn't matter if I can't win the general election. We're down to 27% of the Hispanic vote in this country, Mr. Ambassador. We've gone from 44% to 27%. When I talked about the baby boomers retiring and wiping out Social Security and Medicare and taking the whole country down to the path of Greece, what I didn't tell you about is who replaces the workforce. So when I was born in '55, there were 16 workers for every retiree. How many are there today? 3. Man, y'all are smart. How many will they be in 20 years? 2. Pretty close. I'm the problem. I don't have any kids. How do you fix that? Well, Strom Thurmond had 4 kids after he's 67. Do I have any volunteers? One guy raised his hand, but he didn't understand the question. So, if we don't have a baby boomer 60-year-olds, we better get immigration right and pick people from all over the world, not just ones next door that overrun the fence. So you're going to have to come up with an immigration system to have workers to run the economy in the future. And the reason I'm making this point, Mr. Ambassador, there's no room I can't go into as a candidate and look any member of the Hispanic community in the eye and say, listen, I believe that you should be a Republican. You're hardworking, you're entrepreneurial, you're pro-life, very patriotic. And I've tried to solve a hard problem like immigration. It is a problem that's hurting us national security-wise. Do you agree? Broken borders are bad for everybody. It's hurting our economy. Paying somebody under the table hurts every working person in this room. You know, we got 2 borders. One's with Canada. I've never met an illegal Canadian. Maybe they're out there. They come to Myrtle Beach and march and go swimming, and we love them, and they go home. The 11 million come from poor and corrupt countries. Criminals are not welcome. To the rest, you can stay on our terms. You got to learn our language or you can't stay. I don't speak English that well, but look how far I've come. You got to pay taxes, pay a fine, get back the line, keep your nose clean, and work hard. My point, Mr. Ambassador, is I was not born with a silver spoon in my mouth. I have been knocked down like a lot of people in this country. I've tried to work with Democrats when it made sense to me, dealing with immigration, trying to reform entitlements. And when it comes to protecting this nation, the one thing I can tell you above all else, I've been to Iraq and Afghanistan 30 or 40 times. I've spent 33 years in uniform. I know our enemy, and I understand who our friends are. So I believe I could connect with the average person. I believe I could make a case that Barack Obama's policies have failed, and there's an alternative out there that will allow us to be safe, but you need to pick somebody who understands the difference between real security and false security. At the end of the day, folks, the Republican Party's got a chance of a lifetime. If she wins, when are we ever going to win again? So if it's not me, for God's sakes, pick somebody that can win. Thank you very much.
And this is our last question for today.
Thank you very much. When you started your speech today, you mentioned Ronald Reagan and Tip O'Neill,
Yes.
and that I loved. What I need from you is to tell me who you get along with on the other side. Because
Okay.
we need to hear this. We don't like the fighting anymore, at least as a group of us, but let us know.
Who do I get along with on the other side? Anybody that will do good things for the country. Anybody. I don't, yeah, okay. It depends on the issue. Chuck Schumer wants to repatriate overseas money that's held offshore that won't come back because of 35% tax rate. American-held companies doing business overseas pay taxes in Germany. They bring it back into the United States. They pay 35%. They're not going to do that, right? We're one of the two countries that do that. Chuck wants to have like an 8 or 10% one-time good deal, put the money in roads and bridges. You know what I can tell you about New Hampshire? You need some roads. So on that, on immigration, I've worked with Durbin, I've worked with Schumer. Marco was in the Gang of Eight. I can give you Tim Kaine and Angus King and I are working on a substitute for sequestration. At the end of the day, unless you're a hard-hearted liberal ideologue who doesn't give a damn about the country, I will work with you. Now let me tell you about Ronald Reagan and Tip O'Neill. You know what's missing in Washington? Drinking. They had a drink. All we do is throw stuff at each other. I love my party. I love my party enough to sometimes disagree with it. I think the hope of the future of this country is the Republican values of conservatism, limited government, strong national defense. But our party is not going to save America by herself. It's going to take all of us working together. The radical Islamists could care less if you're Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, or Vegetarian. They hate us because we're tolerant, because we're Americans. And if I run for president, it will be not only as a good Republican, but as a good American. We're done? Adios. Thank you.